What's up, guys? This is the Gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Guys, I want to talk to you about something that's very important to me, and hopefully it's important to some of you. I don't expect all of you to share my passion and convictions about this, but I do ask that you give me an open mind while I talk about this, okay? Because I know that the tendency sometimes is to get defensive when people talk to you from the heart about things that they feel are not right. But all I ask is that you keep an open mind, guys. And of course, if you agree or you understand or you at least get what I'm trying to say, please leave a like on the video, share it, subscribe. Also, of course, leave a comment because that's what I'm really looking for, conversation and communication. So let me just start off by saying this. Guys, remember when Trump was shot at a couple of years ago now? And there were actually a few attempts on his life. Hopefully there won't be any more. But yeah, in the time he was shot at. And I remember at the time, there were people all over TV and social media, the internet and everything. And what they were trying to do is they immediately were talking about the atmosphere that led up to this and how we need to tone it down. We were looking at the tendencies of the left to talk about how they wish bad things were to happen to Trump. And, you know, a lot of people were like on the left side, they were saying, well, we never wanted this to happen. This is not something we were looking for. This is never acceptable. Violence against people, you know, you can't settle your differences this way. In much the same way we saw that with the unfortunate, tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk recently, wherein he was killed. And of course, people started talking about, well, we're in a very toxic atmosphere. You know, it's a dangerous atmosphere where people, instead of communicating with one another, seem to be resorting to or calling for violence against one another. And we saw that, you know, with Charlie Kirk. And of course, you had your people who came out and said, well, this isn't what we wanted. We might have disagreed with him. We didn't like what he was saying, but nobody wanted this to happen. But nobody was talking about the atmosphere. And no one wanted to take accountability for paying into or helping to create this violent, potentially fatal and tragic atmosphere that we're living in, right? So I bring this up because I want to talk to you about a fear that I've been having for years. You know, anyone who's been watching my videos for any amount of time knows that I've done videos kind of warning the fandom that I'm a part of about the dangerous, divisive rhetoric that we seem to be indulging in. Now, it wasn't like this, you know, when we first started. You know, it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of guest appearances on each other's panels. We just had a ball, you know, and people tried to attack us in this fandom, you know, talking about we were toxic, we were racist, we were misogynist, we were homophobic, you know, all of this stuff that at the time we were able to take the high road and say, no, we're not. We just want better entertainment. That's all we want. But they were deflecting to what was then perceived to be the few of us who actually were racist, homophobic, misogynistic, you know, all of that stuff. So we said no. But as time has gone on, guys, if you're observant at all, then you know that the atmosphere has like drastically changed in the last, I'd say like 5 years or so, maybe even more than that, where all of a sudden now we're a lot more hostile towards one another. We choose sides, we click up, you know, everyone is, there's people over here, there's people over there. We don't intermingle the way we used to, you know, there's beefs all over the place, there's infighting all over the place, which I imagine was inevitable. But when you see what it's done to the fandom and you see how we relate to one another, I've talked about this before. I just feel like we are, in a lot of ways, going backwards when it comes to the way that we tolerate one another and get along with one another. And the reason why I'm talking about this now, even though I've done many videos about this in the past, I've been doing this almost 10 years. You go back and look at some of the things I've spoken about. But the reason why I'm talking about it now, guys, is that for some reason, there's a conversation going on about cosplaying and whether it's acceptable for Black people specifically to cosplay races that are not them. Okay, now you guys know we've been talking about the issue of uh, blackwashing, blackfacing, and whitewashing characters, black characters playing traditionally white characters in movies or TV shows and things like that. And I've been very outspoken about that. I don't appreciate it. I don't. It's not something that I appreciate when it comes to movies, TV shows, things like that. I don't like that. I would rather see original characters, original white characters, original black characters. But how this relates to cosplaying, I believe, is a totally different thing. When you cosplay, once again, we're having fun. There are a lot of black people who grew up reading the same comics as everybody else, watching the same movies and TV shows and cartoons and anime as everybody else. So when it comes to cosplaying, I would think that's fair game. Guys, you let me know in the comment section. I think it's fair game. I think that a white person or a white child who wants to dress up like Black Panther is actually more than welcome to do that. I don't see a problem with that. I've talked about that before. Only a smartass would say, oh, I don't want to dress up as Black Panther because Black Panther is black and I'm white. Bro, do what you do. We're talking about, there's a difference between movies put out by multi-million-dollar studios and what you do at a Comic-Con or for Halloween or something like that. Yet and still, we have this going on. And I want to kick this off by showing this that I saw on Twitter, on X. Now, I want you guys to see this, okay? This is Jahara Jade, okay? Now, she's a cosplayer, and it looks like she's cosplaying. It says here, my Free Ren, I think that's how you pronounce it, my Free Ren cosplay. Okay, so for some reason, this is causing a lot of controversy. A lot of people are coming for her neck because they don't think that it's right for her to be doing this. They're treating her like she's trying to blackface a character. We're talking about anime here. In case you guys forget, anime originates in Japan. Japanese, anybody from America who's cosplaying anime, I'd say about 99.9% of the time, you're race swapping in your own way. You're not Japanese, in other words, But this is the environment that has been created where it's extremely hostile towards everybody. Don't get me wrong. The environment that we're in now is bad for everyone. The internet is a very unhealthy place for all of us. But for the sake of this video, I'm talking about the black people who are doing this, okay? Not just because it's exclusively black, not because of that. I try to be fair about this, but there's a point that I want to make here. So just rock with me on this, okay? So there it is, Jahara Jade, my Free Ren cosplay. And people are coming at her and everything. And for example, all right, it says here, right? And this is just on X. This is AI because a black person would never hold a book. Okay, so she has to sign on to X. Like, she shared this picture of herself and she has to sign on to X and she has to see all of these comments, right? And let's see here. Anime can also be black. And this person says, please leave me alone. I don't have any money. So they're trying to say she's being robbed or, she's about to rob her or something like that. Once again, some people are on the other side of the computer right now. They're laughing at this. And okay, in the name of a joke, that's fine, right? Everyone wants to laugh. And unfortunately, the laugh is always at the expense of, one particular person. At least that's what we're talking about here. Okay. But let's move on. It says here, terrible cosplay. Free Ren's outfit is white with gold, not black with blue. Okay, so this is a person also making fun, right? Let's see, this person here, Pan-Africanist apes, again with the apes, the gorilla thing. Pan-Africanist apes complain when whitewashing is done. But when the same thing is done with white characters and they're made black, they get angry and talk about fascist racism. Africans are the ones who can be the most racist. This is what a better cosplay looks like. Now, that's an opinion. Like, obviously, I would say that this picture here obviously looks the most like the actual character that you see in the anime. But cosplay doesn't go by those particular rules. You know what I mean? But the part where they talk about Pan-Africanist apes, this is what I'm talking about, guys. All right, this is the problem. People have to sign on and see this, and it's not good for them, all right? Now, let me just say here, by the way, I just want to give a shout out, all right? Because when you scroll down to the comment section here, The first comments you see are from my little brother, Fatal J in the house. He says, white people cosplay as Japanese anime characters. Where is the hate for that? Okay, that's the point that I was making. Let me just give my brother a like here. And here's my queen, Lorena Creole. And she says, you are cooking. And she's being, of course, supportive, you know, of Jahara Jade. And I'm going to, of course, give a like to Lorena. What up, Raina? What up, Fatal? So I just wanted to give them a shout out here. But the reasons why I feel really compelled to do this, guys, is because I just read about a tragedy when it comes to cosplaying. Of all things, cosplaying. What could be more playful, more innocent that we can all do, that we can all share together? Remember when we used to do that? We all used to come together and share the fun. But unfortunately, let's look at this here. Now, we have Ashley Paxton, who unfortunately killed herself recently. And I want to read a little bit of this article here. It says, who was Squid Kid 1111 and what happened to her? Cosplay community mourns Ashley Paxton. Slam online racist comments following her death. Ashley Paxton, also known as Squid Kid 1111, was a third-year student at UCLA and a cosplayer who passed away at the end of October. Their funeral, I guess we're using these pronouns here, their funeral was held on Thursday, November 13th, while a memorial service was streamed live. Now, this would be Ashley, or Ash, as I believe she's being called, here, okay? And I guess she's cosplaying here. And this is the kind of thing, you know, people used to go after her for and everything. But let's just scroll down because I want to read a little something here. Ash was only 20 years old, a 20-year-old University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA student who was studying in their third year. Paxton was among the recipients of one of the UCLA Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry's departmental awards. Ashley received the Ethel Terry McCoy Award. Apart from their academic accomplishments, Squid Kid 1111 was a well-known cosplayer with over 15,800 followers on Instagram. Their TikTok handle, which is currently private, has more than 72,300 followers. Wow. Okay, so it says here, a fellow cosplayer and content creator at the Alice Pika confirmed in a recent X post that Ashley committed suicide. According to the HollywoodLAnews.com, Los Angeles County officials reported that the 20-year-old died at their residence. Alice stated that the online bullying and racism might have led Squid Kid 1111 to take their own life. Now let's scroll down here and see what it says here. It says here, the post remembered Ashley, who's been a cosplayer for 7 years. They met many of you here on Instagram, but also at conventions, at clubs, across campus, at professional photo shoots, and other day-to-day interactions. They genuinely love the transformation and magic of cosplay and connecting with others through that community. So it is with the heaviest of hearts that we inform you of Ashley's passing. Ashley was a light, not just on screen, but in the lives of everyone they knew, and we hope to nurture that same love and kindness in their memory. Alice goes on to write, racism is insane. A beautiful cosplayer named Squid Kid 1111 committed suicide this month, and the trigger seems to be exhaustion from all the racist comments on their cosplay posts, including negativity from a photographer who liked a racist comment directed at them. Okay, now some of you might be wondering, well, they had a lot of followers. You know, this person, she had a lot of supporters. Was it really that bad? Well, listen, guys, as somebody who does make content, I know, you know, when I go onto X, I can't help but see all the negativity. Like I said, not just the negativity towards black people. There's negativity towards white people, towards women, towards gay people, towards trans people. It's a very, very toxic place, and it feels bad on the inside. Now, she's only 20 years old. She's probably been doing this, I think they said, for over 7 years. So she's been doing this since she's been very, very, very young. All right, now I am a grown man, an old man at that. I've had a long time to try to process this, you know, when it comes to the negativity, some of the comments that I get in my comment section, things like that. But still, I recognize the deep hurt and pain that I feel when I see this negativity towards all of us. And I recognize that it's not healthy for any of us. And after a while, you start to wonder, what am I even here for? Why am I even on this for? Why do I pay into it? Which is the reason why I stopped paying for the blue check mark. I'll be damned if I pay into something where all you see is just negative stuff, like hurtful things. I know a lot of you who are subscribed to me. You tell me you don't want to be on Twitter. You don't want to be on X. And I applaud you for that, because it's not a good place at all. Right? So after a while, it really does start to affect your soul. Psychologists have talked about this. They've talked about this in Congress. This is real. So after a while, it starts to weigh on you, and you have to know how to process it, how to walk away from it. But she's not the only one. I've heard of white people who have taken their own lives because of online bullying and hateful comments and things like that. All of us are subject to this. But anyway, it says here, let me just read a little bit more of this. People on the internet can be absolute monsters. So many Black cosplay enthusiasts refuse to cosplay and put themselves out there because they don't want to be ridiculed online, because it actually does hurt. Our brains are wired to run away from predators, not handle hate from the internet. May their soul rest in heavenly paradise. And some of the people come on and they're like, it's baffling how cruel some people can be. It breaks my heart seeing stuff like this. Apparently it was more than simply the hate comments under the post, but still, yeah, there must have been other issues, of course. It says, I quit cosplaying when I was a teen due to racism. When you're young, it has a devastating psychological impact. It's more than just mean words like people say. It's unprovoked dehumanization. Nerdy spaces in particular have become a cesspool of hateful people. Now, this reminds me of a few months ago, earlier this year, when there was an issue with Black Girl Gamers, right? That was an actual group. An actual online group, Black Girl Gamers. But people went after Black Girl Gamers in general. So here are Black girls on the internet just gaming, minding their own business, might not have even heard of any controversy, and people went running after them simply because they were literally Black, they were girls, and they were gamers. And they harassed the shit out of them. I did a video about it. I'm not making it up. I'm not exaggerating. It's just the way it is, right? And it was wrong. It was absolutely 100% wrong. When we talk about, Tom Holland earlier this year, when he did the play Romeo and Juliet, his Black co-star, she got harassed. I had to do a video about that. She didn't attack anybody, but people went after her. It wasn't, at the time I was saying, it's not a major motion picture. It's not a movie. It's not a TV show. You're trying to say that she doesn't have the right to play Juliet on a stage somewhere in England that most people wouldn't even see, but they harassed the fuck out of her nonetheless. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. When you see these young girls, when you see people in general taking their lives because people go after them and they stay at their neck, there's a problem, guys. There's a deep problem. And here I am in a fandom where I thought we were all together. I'm over that now, because obviously that is not the case. There are platforms and panels that I can't even go on anymore, because the comment section, they clown so bad, they talk so bad, and everything. And I'm like, we were never like this back in the day. We were all together. We rallied around each other when people came at us as a fandom, And it's funny because I had people warn me when I first started doing videos talking about geek nerd shit. I had people come to me and say, like in real life, why are you doing this, bro? Why? They're going to turn on you. They're going to turn on you, bro. You're going to get your Black wake-up card. I did a video about that too. You're going to get your your nigger wake-up card, they called it, right? And those people are sitting back like, I told you so, when they see all of these hateful comments, that are unsolicited, when they see all of the clowning, people clowning George Floyd. No matter how you feel about him as a criminal, the man died. You know what I'm saying? It's about respect for life. That's what I'm talking about. This isn't a commentary about how the man lived his life. He didn't ask to be pimped out by politicians and things like that. Let the man meet his maker. Wherever he goes, heaven or hell, that's up to God. Judgment is mine, saith the Lord. But people can't seem to grasp that, right? So I can't invite people into this fandom the way I once thought that I could. My own son, I wouldn't have him watch half the shit that you see, from a lot of you who are content creators in this space. Like, what would I look like? Just, oh, here, son, watch this panel. They're going to be, this past Halloween. And this is the deep thing. I saw a couple of our YouTube personalities here who are of mixed race, they're biracial. See, and this is the thing I'm talking about, guys, real quick, right? The self-esteem of black people, that's what's alarming here. That's why I'm doing this. That's what I hope you at least take away from this. Now, I'm not trying to personally attack anyone. I want you guys to understand that. I am not trying to personally attack anyone. I'm trying to prove a point, right? So here we have a couple of YouTube personalities here in our section of the fandom, right? I'm not calling them by name. Some of you might know them, right? But these are biracial people, right? I don't remember seeing a lot of biracial people, you know, black, white, you know, like, you know, mixed heritage, indulging in this blackface thing. But this Halloween, this is what I was subject to on X. Now, I know a lot of people they're like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? It's funny, you know? But no, I see something different. You know, I see a couple of very intelligent people. I don't know them personally, you know, but I've seen some of their postings, you know, on X. I might have seen maybe a panel or something that they might have been on. I have nothing personal against these people, right? Particularly the young lady on the side there, on the left of me right now that I'm looking at this, might be on the right of you, holding the chicken in blackface. But she is biracial from what I understand. And she's beautiful, man. You know, I mean, when I say she's beautiful, I mean that she's devastatingly beautiful. You know, she's got the most beautiful eyes, the most beautiful smile. And she's young, you know, like I said, I'm an old dude, you know, so it ain't like I'm trying to push up or nothing, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, and I hate to see this, you know, I hate to see her devaluing herself, putting herself out there looking like this, because she thinks she's trying to make a point to the black people, I guess, who are getting on her nerves. Look, I get it. There's a lot of frustration right now when it comes to black people. A lot of fatigue. And there's my dog going off again. There's a lot of fatigue out here. I feel a lot of the frustration myself. I really do. If you watch my videos, you understand what I'm talking about, right? But the only way out of this has ever been for us to hold ourselves in higher esteem. You know, for those of us who know better, to speak louder. This isn't the first time you heard me say this. To represent ourselves better. It's the only way to win. You don't win by wallowing in the muck like this. You don't. Smokey! 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 No! He's not going to stop. Let me cook, Smokey. Doggone it. You know, so anyway, like I was trying to say, you don't win this way. You don't win by devaluing yourself. You have to understand, you got haters out there. I'm talking to the young lady. You have haters out there who want to see you less than the beautiful, radiant woman that you are. So doing this, whether you know it or not, whether you understand it or not, is handing them a win. You know, to the gentleman here on the other side, I understand that you're trying to parody something that Jay Leno did back in the day. All right, but once again, we have black viewers out here who should not be expected to lower themselves to understand something like this, right? Because there's a chance that the joke is on us. You get what I'm saying? And if you're honest, a lot of times it really is. You know, when you did this, you got a ton of views, you got a ton of people applauding you. Do you really think all of them got the joke? Do you think they got the reference? Or do you think that it was just another opportunity to clown black people? Let me remind you of what blackface is, all right? The racist origins of blackface, all right? This is nothing new, all right? This has been around, you know, for a long time. You see that? That's not a black man, all right? This has always been something that's been played up for laughs. Let me just read something here. Blackface isn't just about painting one's skin darker or putting on a costume. It invokes racist and painful history. The origins of blackface date back to the minstrel shows of the mid-19th century. White performers darkened their skin with polish and cork, put on tattered clothing, and exaggerated their features to look stereotypically black. The first minstrel shows mimicked enslaved Africans on southern plantations, depicting black people as lazy, ignorant, cowardly, or hypersexual. You know, the average thing that you see in today's rap videos, you know? So, I mean, believe me, guys, black people, you're not off the hook either. You know, I want to make a point about that as well, you know, the black side of our fandom, but I'll do that in a minute. It says here, okay, according to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, the performances were intended to be funny to white audiences, but to the black community, they were demeaning and hurtful. Now, this is a fact. So when you engage in the blackface thing, you know, every Halloween, we got to see it. And these days, people don't even care if it's offensive. They used to say, I didn't know it was offensive. Now, people are out here actually saying, I'm racist. I don't give a damn. You know, I don't care if it offends you. Fuck you. You know, they're so mad, man. You know, but it says here, one of the most popular blackface characters was Jim Crow, developed by performer and playwright Thomas Dartmouth Rice as part of a traveling solo act. He wore a burnt cork blackface mask and raggedy clothing, spoke in stereotypical black vernacular, you know, kind of like Michelle Obama when she wants to talk to black audiences. And the other one, you know, the other black chick who's out there now who's making all that noise. I forget her name as of this recording, but you guys know who I'm talking about. All right. And he performed a caricature song and dance routine that he said he learned from a slave. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, guys. All right, this is real. This is an actual fact. So to indulge in that is ignorant, it's hurtful, and it's counterproductive to where we're supposed to be in America, you know? But unfortunately, this is what I was talking about. This is the environment that's been created, this hostile environment, this hostile towards all of us. But for the sake of this, I'm talking about black people because there is an issue that I'm very, very heavily personally invested in. And that would be this. I want you guys to consider this as well. I want you to see this. Black teen mental health and suicide statistics. Why is it that when I want to do a video, the dog is barking, the landscaper is outside the window, and YouTube won't let me get my views? I swear it's a conspiracy, my brother. It really, really is a conspiracy. But I'm going to try to get through this, guys. New data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention shows that suicides among black youth are rising faster than any other racial ethnic group. Suicide rates in black youths ages 10 to 19 have increased 54% since 2019. Since 2019, think about what's been going on in our pop culture since 2019. All of that blackfacing you were talking about, where you're changing the identity of this, where you're putting black people in these roles and stuff with the lie that you're trying to uplift black people, it's not working. Okay, because in modern days, you see that the suicide rates are drastically increasing for young black kids. So all of this stuff that you're doing, supposedly in the name of uplifting them, seems to be having the opposite effect. Why? Because they know that it's dishonest. That's why. The reasons why those kids danced on the desk back in the day when Black Panther was being released is because it was an honest black character. Something that actually broke through at a time when these kids needed it the most. And they destroyed that. And this is the reason why I talk about what I talk about. There are some black people who think that it's just entertainment. Shut up, Mark, they say. Shut up. It's just music. It's just movies. Dude, look at the stats. More data points to the urgent need to improve and address mental health care for black communities. You see these kids, they're running out in the street. I just did a story about those black middle schoolers who beat up a mother, a sick mother, and her 2 children. This is not natural. You understand? Something is wrong. Okay, so it says here, young black males had a suicide rate 2.3 times higher than young black girls. 39% of black high school students experienced persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness, a 42% increase from 2009. A 42% increase, guys. What is going on when we have all of this content out here that is supposedly geared towards uplifting black children? Why is there a 42% increase since 2009? Suicide attempts by black adolescent girls increased 71% between 2009 and 2021, 10% to 18%. 22% of black teens said they seriously considered attempting suicide, a 66% increase since 2009. Okay, so this is what I'm in it for, guys. This is what I want you to understand. This is where we are. Okay, so when I talk about these things, these little girls, these young girls, they want to cosplay, they want to feel good about themselves, but they have people who are chasing after them. By the way, let me just show you something right here. One more thing I want to show you. Okay, hold on, let me go back. Okay, now this is Ash, right? This is Squid Kid on X. Okay, this is an example of what I'm talking about. It says here, Ash was a beautiful, radiant individual. Their cosplays brought overwhelming joy to every social media platform. They just took their own life due to bullying. In honor of Ash, I invite you to spotlight your favorite black cosplayers. I will follow every single one. This is a thread that was put out there for young black cosplayers to showcase themselves, right? To be happy, to feel good about what they're doing. You scroll down. What do you see, guys, right in front of your face? Nigger. Nigger, 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 nigger. I refuse to say the N-word, guys, because we think somehow that we can gloss over it. We can put a shine on a turd, you know? But there it is, right there. Don't try to be, in denial about this. This is a problem. I ain't talking about censorship because there's nothing you can do about it. But I want those of us who know better to just pay attention a little bit more, to watch what you like, to what you LOL. Because I've seen some people that I have shared streams with laughing at shit like this. And I'm just sitting back like, what have we been doing, for the past 5-10 years? I've talked about my son, things like that. And you can sit back and still do this. People that I know. And you wonder, why I don't come on your streams anymore. I've seen you, bro. I've seen you. And I'm hurt. I'm not, like I said, it's nothing. I'm not trying to fight anybody. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. I'm just disappointed because people told me. They were like, this was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. They were going to do this to you. But as far as the black content creators, you don't get anything better from them. They lay in wait to call you a coon every time they get a chance. I'm talking like this right now to most of you with common sense. You can tell that I'm genuinely concerned. But the very first time I say something that these black content creators don't like, you're a fucking coon. You're a coon. You need to shut up. Why do you even have a platform? You're corny. That's the reason why you don't get any views. What are you supposed to do, bro? But I just wanted to speak about this. Obviously another long video because I care. I care about my son. I've heard people in my family. I've heard my son, his friends. I've heard them talk about things like this. I've heard about, how hurtful the internet is, for them. And like I said, it's no different, for white kids, for Spanish kids, Indian kids, Asian kids. It's bad for all of us. But once again, I have to talk about it this way because nobody else will, nobody else will talk about it, at least from the black point of view, so I'm here to acknowledge what I see, and I speak as a parent, that's what I always try to make people understand. I speak as a parent. Hey man, what are you doing here? We're talking about, kid stuff, kid cartoons, kid things. I'm a parent. We're supposed to be plugged in, and that's the capacity that I speak in. But anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to say about that. I want you guys to get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of this. I want to say rest in peace to Ash. I want to say rock on, to Jahara. See, Jahara Jade. I want to say rock on to you and to all of the other cosplayers out there, who are doing their thing. When I go to the cons, I love to see it. I love what you do. I enjoy it. You have every right to do it. You look beautiful doing it. And I will always support that. All of you. All right. Anyway, guys, hope you understand what I was talking about. I ain't here to look for no beef. I ain't here to fuck with nobody, bro. I'm just here to give a commentary the same way that I always do. You guys know me. I am the gospel, according to Mark with a C. Thank you. Rock on.